Truman needs to know what's next.
2,
What's next?
1.
Oppenheimer had such a captivating personality. He was a great leader, but he also can make a lot of enemies.
Yeah.
Do you think that personality was a help or hindrance in his career?
Well, I mean, it certainly helped him in the early part of his career. It certainly helped him in the Manhattan Project. I mean, what they achieved in that short space of time was staggering. He was a very unconventional choice to lead that project, you know, and it was Groves who spotted that he would have that potential, because you hear what Groves listing off, the fact that he was a womanizer, a suspected communist, all these things that and it's true, all of those things were true, but yet it was the right man at the right time. And then later on, we see what happened then, when certain aspects of his personality probably didn't help him out.
You both play people who were intimately close with Oppenheimer, and that relationship cost them quite a bit publicly. What about him do you think made Kitty and Leslie stay loyal despite those costs?
I think his extraordinary talent, brain, abilities. I think she absolutely worshipped him. I think she thought he was otherworldly bright, and I think she believed in him. And so it was like she'd made a pact when she met him and married him. I always felt this like forceful pact that she'd made to make him the greatest he could be, but to her own deterioration, as you see. Like, there's a decay that goes on with that character because of sacrifice, you know, what she ultimately sacrificed for his pursuits.
I think Groves knew that he never could have done it without him, you know, and that was the key decision he made, was making him the scientific director of the project, and that's why it all worked. And so, you know, the central tension for the military was the fact that the scientists, you know, all were sharing information, and they were trying to compartmentalize everything. I mean, even Groves, the book that Groves wrote about it afterwards was called Now It Can Be Told. Like, of course, like, all right, now it can be told. You know what I mean? Don't you all understand? We can't say anything while this thing is going on. So that was a source of tension. But I do think they genuinely liked each other, and that's what we tried to get across in the film.
The movie wraps around the fact that Oppenheimer was run out of public life. And it makes me think of a quote by, I think it was Eric Severide, which was, Oppenheimer no longer has access to government secrets, but the government no longer has access to Oppenheimer's mind.
Yeah, that's great.
And yeah, do you think that he could have done much more to secure a nuclear future if we allowed him?
I don't know. We'll never know, will we? I mean, I think there's always a lot of tension between, there is now anyway, a lot of tension between scientists and politicians. They both need each other, but and we saw that recently, I suppose, in this whole pandemic. It's very tense. It's an unknowable, isn't it?
How about because this is the most important thing to ever happen in the history of the world?
Matt, you have a great line about how this is the most important thing that's happened in the history of the world.
Right.
Do you all agree with that?
Yes.
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 So far, for sure. For sure. And it's kind of amazing that we don't, as I said that to Chris when I read the script, because Chris and I are the same age. It's like, you know, we grew up under this sort of Damocles, and it's amazing that we don't think about it all day, every day. But I kind of feel like we couldn't live our lives if we did. Once you kind of re-engage with it, there it is. So I do think it is the most important thing that's happened.
A lot of folks, I think, will paint Oppenheimer as the villain in the Manhattan Project as a war crime, but it probably did save tens of thousands, if not 100,000 American soldiers' lives.
Or more. The estimates, I think, were 250 to 1 million in a land invasion of Japan. And so it's like, these are impossible questions and awful and unanswerable questions, right? And you go
and unimaginable
decisions, and hopefully we can evolve past the point where we're solving our problems this way, but we haven't seemed to been able to do it yet.
You are the man who gave them the power to destroy themselves, and the world is not prepared.
5,